time.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the Underestimated Podcast. It's your host, Jeremy. I'm back with another episode. And today, I want to talk some baseball. I recorded a baseball video a couple of weeks ago, and due to some technical difficulties, I had to scratch it. So I was contemplating for a while, do I just run that same video back? But when you kind of give 100 to one video and it comes out really, really good, which I thought that a particular episode came out really, really good, it's very hard to replicate that. So I was just like, you know what? We're just gonna find something new to put out. So we all know that baseball is right around the corner. So let's talk about the World Series. The last two World Series have been won by the LA Dodgers, and they could very well win a third one in a row, which would be the making of a dynasty, in which that kind of was that's what the episode would have been had it been published. It was going to be, are the LA Dodgers the next making of the next MLB dynasty, potentially? And I'm gonna kind of dive into that somewhat with this list. So this list, as you'll see in the title, is my personal top 10 contenders for the 2026 World Series Championship. First up, at number 10, I have the New York Mets. The New York Mets are contenders because of two things simply. One thing being upside and the other being star power. So like when you look at their roster construction, it screams like high ceiling. And if their core batters are hot, I don't have to go any further than saying Juan Soto. I am deeply hurt that he did not extend his contract as a Yankee, especially when he left to go to the crosstown rival. But it's fine. Obviously, we can see now that it isn't working out very well for him. But because he's still who he is, I think, any team that has Juan Soto on it has a chance. So that's why they're not top 5 or anything, but I do think they have a chance. Not to also mention they have Francisco Lindor. So if they get hot at the right time and their rotation stabilizes, this team is dangerous in a short playoff series. Their biggest advantage is offensive firepower. They have hitters who can flip a game in one inning. In October, you don't always need to necessarily be dominant. You just need timely explosions, because baseball is a game where all it takes is one guy to kind of set the tone, and if everyone else can follow suit, then you got a chance to win that game. If their lineup just finds rhythm, they can hang with anyone, to be honest. And the X factor is the pitching consistency. If the Mets get above average starting pitching and the bullpen locks in late, they become a nightmare matchup. They may not be the safest pick, obviously, but they absolutely have the talent to make a deep playoff run. So next up on this list, at number 9, I have the San Diego Padres. The Padres are built for October baseball. Why? Because they have two things: elite star talent and playoff experience. This roster has guys who have played in big postseason matchups and have delivered big postseason moments as well. And so they aren't going to be overwhelmed when they have a shot in the playoffs. I mean, last year they might have got out of one series, but they didn't really go far. So when healthy, though, their lineup can grind out at bats and work some counts and kind of capitalize on mistakes. Pitching depth is key here, because if their rotation stays intact and they shorten games with a bullpen that is reliable, they can beat any team in a 5 or 7 game series. They don't need to be the best regular season team. They just need to get in. They just need a shot. Like they just get an opportunity, they can make some noise. And once they're in, I promise you, nobody wants to see a Fernando Tatis Jr. led team. Tatis is by far one of my favorite guys in the league, and I'm a Yankees guy, and I would love if he was a Yankee. But yeah, like I'll admit, even I wouldn't want to see the Padres. I think everybody on this list, there's one guy that him like that one person, let alone, makes me scared enough to where I would want my personal Yankees to see them. Next up on this list at number 8, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies are one of the most battle-tested postseason teams in baseball right now. There's a lot of controversy going on with them as well. I actually saw something this morning while I was watching First Take, because it's something that I do religiously every day, because I love that show. It's my favorite show. So apparently there was some controversy, some speculation between Bryce Harper and I'm assuming the GM, because I guess Bryce Harper took offense to the GM saying something about he doesn't truly believe that Bryce Harper is an elite player anymore. I personally disagree. I can agree to disagree, if that makes sense, because I still think Bryce Harper, I don't know why I'm so tempted to say Bryce Young. Bryce Harper, I don't know what it is. Like, Bryce Harper to me is, I think when we talk about like the NBA, like you got guys like LeBron, KD, Westbrook, Harden, Curry, guys who shouldn't be as good as they are at their age. You kind of look at Bryce Harper the same way in terms of what he does in the game of baseball. But then again, when you think about the term elite, only a certain category of guys can sort of fit that magnitude. And it's very debatable if Bryce Harper still kind of fits that criteria. Nonetheless, the Philadelphia Phillies are one of the most proven teams when it comes to October, because they can win. I mean, their lineup is built on power and patience, which obviously you need to have power, technique, strategy, and plate discipline if you're going to be a solid batting team. So all this is a very dangerous tandem to have when it comes to playoff baseball. Home runs can change everything, and when you have someone like Bryce Harper, regardless of how old he is, look at Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman is almost 40, and he's been giving my Yankees like nightmares. Like, he's taking less hours of sleep off of our nights with the way that he's hit in the past 2 postseasons against us. So the Phillies don't need 10 hits to score 5 runs. They can do it in 2 swings. The rotation is also postseason ready. They have arms that can dominate for 7 innings and set the tone in a series. Add in a high-level bullpen, and this is a complete October formula. They're not just contenders. They're built specifically for playoff success. Like, Bryce Harper has been one of my favorite guys for years. Like, I think of the 3 teams I've named now, I think they all have one guy that I think is one of my favorites. We talk about 10, Juan Soto, 9, Tatis, 8, Bryce Harper. Like, I can honestly say, like, Bryce Harper is one of the reasons that I even got into baseball more. Obviously, I'm a Yankees fan, so, like, I think we can confidently say that Aaron Judge is a given in terms of baseball, because who doesn't like Aaron Judge? But Bryce Harper definitely got me into baseball more. Next on the list, at number 7, I have the Seattle Mariners. This one is a bit of a a wild spot for me because this is a team that I didn't expect to be where they are. I think they are slightly ahead of their time, but in certain cases, that can be a good thing. You know, Seattle's path to a World Series runs through pitching, and they absolutely have it. Don't get me wrong, but this might be one of the best starting rotations in baseball. In October, elite pitching travels. It has to. It's very significant. And so if they get quality starts consistently, then they can neutralize even the most explosive offenses. Offensively, they don't need to be top five in scoring. They just need timely hitting. If the bats become league average instead of streaky, then the Mariners become extremely dangerous. And so when you combine elite pitching with strong defense, that's a postseason blueprint. So, they're one of those teams that I would deem as like, you don't really expect them to win it all, but you also can't be too surprised if they just so happen to win it all. And I was thinking about who, because there's this dude I was talking about the Mariners, and the dude's face popped up in my head. I'm like, but I couldn't name him, so I had to pull up the roster. Julio Rodriguez. You got a team that is with Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, and then Cal Riley. Dude, Kyle Riley kind of came out of nowhere. That dude was hit like, when you have a hitter of that caliber, like that's the kind of hitter that even gives people like Otani fits because they have what it takes to be at bat for a very long time. And typically, you know, as a pitcher, the longer you're on the mound, especially for one singular hitter, then the more that your arm gets stressed and worn out. And so when you got to go up against guys like Riley and Rodriguez, yeah, it gets pretty sticky. But you know, a duo like that, as good as it is, you got to have a supporting cast. So I think they kind of got to work on that regard. But we see a lot of crazy things happen in baseball, and it's a lot of money that is in the baseball world. So I think if they get better surrounded pieces around those two, then they got a shot to do something. Next up on this list is a team that I have no pleasure talking about. But I gotta give respect and gotta give credit where credit is due. Boston Red Sox. Um, Boston Red Sox feel like a momentum team. If they catch fire, I mean they can ride the wave all the way. Their offense can get hot very quickly, especially in hitter friendly environments. If they're consistent, then putting pressure on opening pitchers, they can sort of overwhelm a team on any given day. The key for them will be pitching depth. If their starters hold up, then the bullpen can sort of be in place to close games effectively and efficiently, and then they can make some noise. Boston has championship DNA. I mean, they've won a World Series before, and having that experience and that pedigree is sort of what matters a lot in terms of October. I kind of went on a tangent of naming guys that I like from every single team that I've named, and I shall not do that for the Red Sox. And if y'all know I'm a Yankees fan, so that should be enough to tell you why I would not give any more glory to the Boston Red Sox than I need to. But nonetheless, let's move forward. So next up on this list, I have at number 5 the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles is a young, explosive, and fearless team. I think, when it comes to the youth in every sport, it's always exciting because you get to watch them grow, but also have to have the same mindset of you may not really get your shot to put your best foot forward until some of these veteran guys decide to leave the game. And so you can kind of put the Baltimore Orioles in that same category. Because while they're good, I just don't know if they're going to be able to compete with a lot of these more veteran-based teams with star power. And so, their lineup is packed with emerging stars, who aren't obviously intimidated by big moments, but, they play fast, are an aggressive baseball team, and they can score in bunches. Their biggest leap has been pitching development. If their young arms continue to mature and the bullpen stays steady, this is a balanced team. They have depth, athleticism, energy, and that, accumulation of things is what can carry you to a deep run in October. And I'm just going to name one name. Bo Bichette. I love Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette might be, what I say, he's my favorite young guy in the league. Yeah, probably. Huh. Yeah, he probably is my favorite guy. He's Lemon Paulskins. Yeah. I'd say it's like 1 and 1A for me. Yeah. Both of those guys are pretty cool. But you talk about Bo Bichette and him being able to be an already great second baseman and then bats pretty well for a second baseman. He's going to be a star. So, all right, next up on the list, I have at number 4 the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto's case comes down to balance, right? So they have a strong offensive core capable of sustained production, not just hot streaks. So they can manufacture runs or hit the long ball. Flexibility matters in playoff matchups. Got to be able to be flexible. Got to be willing to adjust and adapt to whatever situation may come in any game in a postseason series. So if their rotation delivers consistently, with quality starts, and the bullpen holds leads that they get, in late innings, they're absolutely built to win tight postseason games. This isn't just a flashy team. It's a structured, complete contender. I'm just going to say one name. I've named a lot of powerhouse, household names thus far. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That dude is a monster. When you have a MVP caliber, and I believe he's won a couple of MVPs, when you have a MVP caliber player on your roster, you can always count yourself in the mix. And so I think just with him alone, they can absolutely make some noise. But not to mention, you got guys like Shane Bieber as well, who can complement him very well. So yeah, don't be surprised if the Blue Jays are in a conference series matchup. So I think they got a shot to definitely make some noise in the NL for sure. Do I think they can win it all? I mean, obviously, yeah, they're on the list. I just think, man, I got so much faith and confidence in somebody like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that he can just carry them a long way. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the top 3 of the list. All right, at number 3, I have the Milwaukee Brewers. I get it. Some of you may argue that I have them too high. But trust me on this. Like, I think. So what's funny is, I think a lot of Milwaukee organizations are in the same place. Why do I say that? Because you look at the Milwaukee Brewers roster, right? And what it's composed of. And then you also look at the Milwaukee Bucks roster and what it is also composed of. Very similar rosters. You got a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo who wants to win, made it very clear that he wants to win and wants to stay in Milwaukee and win. But if there is a better situation that he can win, and winning in Milwaukee is not ideal, then he will pivot and go. You look at this Milwaukee Brewers team, and it can very well be of the same magnitude. You got a guy like Christian Yelich, who is one of, like, he's definitely a top 10 player in this league, who hasn't complained or, like, expressed any interest of wanting to leave Milwaukee. But just imagine if Christian Yelich was on another team and how much that had changed. Like, he's a game-changing franchise player who just doesn't really have any help. Now, you're probably saying, oh, well, if you believe that, then why in the world would you have the team that he's on, top 3, on your list? Because I think he's that good. You have a lot of players, and it goes through all team sports, that just have a great job or do a great job of doing more with less. And I personally believe that Christian Yelich is one of those players. He can do a whole lot more than less. Like, this Milwaukee Brewers team, I don't think anyone saw them being this good heading into last season. And they finished 3rd in the NL Central, which is really, really good. I don't know, man. Don't sleep on Milwaukee. Christian Yelich is a dog, and he carried him a long way. I think what makes the Brewers so tough is, their run prevention. An elite bullpen, check. Strong rotation depth, check. Defensive consistency, check. In October, games tighten, and the Brewers are built for low-scoring, pressure-filled baseball. If they grab an early lead, they're incredibly tough to beat. They may not always dominate headlines, but their formula is very capable. I mean, more than capable of winning playoff games. Like, nobody should go into a game against the Milwaukee Brewers and think it's going to be an easy outing, because it will absolutely not be. This is going to be a doozy to talk about. At number 2, my New York Yankees. Man, what I can go on. I could have done a whole 30-minute segment on the Yankees alone. But man, we just gotta find a way to get over the hump. I mean, it's been 15 years since we were able to hoist the World Series trophy, and I mean, we've always had a team that was able to do it, that had a shot, just haven't been able to get it done. I think we, honestly, you can make the argument between him and Ohtani, but I personally think that we have the best player in baseball, in Aaron Judge. And the Yankees are contenders because of their sheer star power and offensive ceiling. Like, I think, I hate saying this, but in this business, you got to be non-biased. So, even though I probably just had a bias in when Aaron Judge being the best player in the MLB, knowing that Shohei Ohtani is still alive and exists, we, outside of the Dodgers, probably have the best batting order from top to bottom. I mean, anybody knows that when our lineup is clicking, we can overwhelm any team with just our power. And we don't just beat you, we bury you. Like, we are very capable of beating any team by more than 10 runs, which is not really an ideal thing in professional baseball, but we got the team to do it. Their pitching staff, when healthy, gives the balance needed for October. But let's be honest, experience in big moments matters, and that's what always kind of gives us the opportunity to be relevant. The Yankees expect to win. Like, you talk about teams that, like, when you've won so much, the expectation is championship or nothing, and that's how it is for us. Like, we're not happy just about making it to the playoffs. Like, we want to win the World Series trophy, and if we stay healthy, we have as high as a ceiling as anyone in baseball. Aaron Judge. That's all I gotta say. 99 pinstripes. I don't gotta name anybody else, even though I can go for days. Jazz Chisholm, Carlos Rodon. You got guys like Giancarlo Stanton. I can just go for days about that roster, but I'm not, because I got one more team on this list to name. Okay, so obviously I'm a firm believer in you are the king of your league until you are knocked off. So with that being said, obviously, as one may assume, the LA Dodgers are the number one team on my list. The LA Dodgers are the most complete team in baseball. Elite lineup depth. Their front line, in terms of starting pitchers, is phenomenal. They have a very strong bullpen. They have championship experience, obviously winning the last 2 World Series. There really isn't one bad thing you can say about the LA Dodgers. Only thing you can probably say is that they're old. They are a bit older than the average MLB team, but where that helps them out, though, they have won championships with it. A lot of postseason experience. They don't really rely on any player because they don't have to. You have Ohtani, when you have Freddie Freeman, when you have Mookie Betts, and so on and so forth. You can win with your power, your contact, your speed, or your pitching dominance. That versatility makes them incredibly difficult to game plan against in a playoff series. If they stay healthy, and obviously, age permitting, that isn't, ideal or the most likely thing to happen, but they're the team to beat. There's no denying that, obviously. Well, that is gonna be it for me. This was kind of fun. I haven't done baseball in a minute, and the season's rolling around, so I thought it was somewhat relevant. I didn't really want to wait until the season got already underway to put something out. So this is the first of 2 videos I got to put out today because Monday was very hectic and was working a lot, and so it just wasn't able to record and put out. So I'm trying to make up for it today by putting out 2 videos today, and then tomorrow I'll be working towards trying to put out another video on Friday because I'll also be working, so I won't be able to likely record and put out a video the same exact day. Nonetheless, thank y'all for watching. I think the most recent we put out was the new Sand Shark Sundays episode. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Give it a like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Always remember, don't underestimate, appreciate. Come.